I want to highlight a comment that was on Derek Bennett's YouTube video. I just commented this earlier, by the way. We'll get into more of this stuff, but while we have you, Rick, I wanted to just highlight Camille Gregor's comment because I thought it was really good because you brought up this whole, if we thought this was history, it'd be a bit absurd. The two leading explanations of the evidence offered by Christian apologists other than a massive coincidence are Yahweh made Jesus's life similar to other ancient Mediterranean figures to make Christianity more plausible. Satan made myths about other ancient Mediterranean more similar to future Jesus's life to make Christianity less plausible. I think we should appreciate that if the two leading explanations of the same evidence involve literally the maximally good being and literally the maximally evil being, and there is apparently no way to tell which one is true, Christianity might have some serious issues with explanatory power in the first place.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a fan. Gregor, good job, man.
Yeah. Well, you know what I would say to that to Camille there is that there's really no escaping the problem of massive coincidence. You know, he tries to offer those in a sort of sardonic way, tries to offer those as alternatives, you know, that a theologian might offer. But even if you want to try and put this up to God or to Satan, it's still awfully coincidental that either of those superpowers should do it right there in the very space-time, the very cultural and historical milieu in which these ideas were prominent. There's really no escaping it. It's a problem.
That's Rick. You can speak on it, man. That's why you were saying Justin had to deal with it. Neil's done videos on this. I've done videos. You've talked about this.
I just recently, in my second last video, I mentioned, and I was recording this. This wasn't part of my like scripts or anything. I just went off the cuff and I said, people like Inspiring Philosophy can just pretend it doesn't exist because it's not part of the culture anymore as much as it was. Justin Martyr had no choice. He had to deal with it. He had to write about it. It's right in front of him. He walks outside. There's a temple of Hercules. He walks over there. There's a temple of. He can't ignore it. So you now that everyone should read that passage. By the way, it's just
now what Michael would say to that, and I'm interested in getting Richard's take on this as well. Is well, you see, Justin Martyr was fighting for his life, fighting against persecution. And so he had to stretch and exaggerate these comparisons in order to save his own hide and that of other Christians. Curious what you have to say to that, Dr. Miller.
It's kind of feels a little bit like Camille's kind of argument where it's both sides. You've got Justin Martyr. Don't forget what he's called. That's where he's taken this.
Good point.
So he's not afraid to die. He's not afraid to tell the truth. He's not afraid to get right down to it there. And so I think it is in some ways just a disrespect. It's interesting that the Christian argument is to disrespect the earliest Christian argument. And so,
wow.
I love that.
So your point is, and just to highlight, I want to get into the nitty gritty here. He died for a reason, not because he screamed and kicked and tried to get out of the pickle by making up anything he could. He died because he stood his ground where he stood his ground by comparing Jesus, but still emphasizing, hey, those others are done by demons. Ours is the true, path that you should follow, the way. And then you've highlighted Ignatius with me, and we read the letter to Rome. Oh my gosh. This guy was the most suicidal sounding church father I've ever heard anyone write. This guy was begging the Roman church to make the animals, the beasts that are going to eat him, his tomb. He begged them to let him die. His fourth chapter in that, I think, or fifth, says, I want to die. That's the title. And then he goes on, brethren, please do not keep me from the death that awaits me to become one with my Christ. And like, dude, these guys wanted to die. So it's the biggest throw the early Christians under the bus as much as we can to save our modern apologetic as we can. And I think the least ad hoc is exactly what Neil just said, exactly what you're bringing up, Derek, and what Richard writes about in his book. That is, You can't get away from it. He had to engage this. He had to show, look, yes, Jesus looks similar to Ariadne and the Zeuses and Zeus and the sons of Zeus, the Caesars, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on.